Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver, and today I'm going to give you the top 5 cars for Uber, Lyft, and rideshare. Before we get into specifics, guys, I need to remind you that it is a bad idea to buy a car to do Uber. Never, ever, ever do that. Do not buy a car specifically for Uber. It is the worst investment you could possibly make. Don't do it. You're going to lose money. It's just the worst investment specifically to buy a car for Uber. What you need to do before you realize what car you need is look at yourself and look at your family and figure out what kind of vehicle you need for your family needs, okay? Are you a single dude, single chick that just wants to go out to the club or out to the bar and impress a date? Maybe you're looking at a sedan then. You don't need something fancy. Just make sure you can make the payments on it and then help Uber and Lyft give you some tax advantages at the end of the year, you know? Are you a family member? Do you have kids? Do you need a van or an SUV? If you do, just realize that you can take advantage of some of the options that Uber and Lyft have, which is if you have an SUV or a minivan, you can get paid more than the average Uber X or regular Lyft drive. You can drive on Uber Black, you can drive on Uber XL, you can drive on Uber SUV, and that pays you a little bit more money. So if you need a family car to drive around your kids and go to sporting events and stuff like that, just make sure it has leather seats and that you get it in black, and so you can get on these higher platforms. The second thing you need to realize before we get into specifics is you need to realize how you make money doing Uber. Like, that's the important, right? That's the ABC of business. So I'm going to post right here a link to my series I did. It's a 3-part series on how to make money doing Uber and Lyft. And basically what it comes down to is you need to figure out what your cost to operate your vehicle is per mile, and then realize every time you drive 1 mile, it's like taking a little bit of money out of your pocket, right? And the only way to make money in this business is to make sure that you have a vehicle that doesn't cost a lot in maintenance and that doesn't cost a lot in gas, because that takes away from your profit margin. So if you ask a full-time driver, now I'm talking about not weekend warriors, I'm not talking about I do it part-time before or after work, I'm talking about Uber, Lyft, rideshare as your only income, full-time job. You're doing it 40 to 80 hours a week to grind out and make that money. If you talk to those full-time drivers, almost every single one of you down to the exact number will tell you to get a Prius, okay? I'm talking like 90 out of 100 people, 990 out of 1,000. I mean, that's what they're gonna tell you to do. And so there's a method to that madness, okay? So for the reason you do that is because the less maintenance you have and the less gas you spend, the more money you retain and keep in your pocket, the higher your profit margin, okay? And Priuses have been around for a long time, and they're the preferred vehicle now of taxi companies and individuals doing any kind of rideshare service, because they get, you know, 45 to 50 miles per gallon. So it's like basically half the cost of a regular car to operate a Prius in. You can buy them on the cheap, okay? You can buy a used Prius and you can just drive it into the ground and then resell it later. And you're not really losing a whole lot of money on your biggest business expense, which is your car, okay? So on Uber, you can operate a vehicle until it's 7 years old. I think Lyft is the same. I haven't looked in a long time. My car is 2016, so I didn't really worry about it. But at the time of this recording, I'm pretty sure it's 7 on both platforms. So that means if you have anything newer than 2010, you can operate on the platforms. So the business idea that these Uber and Lyft drivers have is that you go get a used Prius, you know, with like 50,000 miles on it. Then you just drive for 3 years on it, put 50,000 miles on it a year, get it close to around $200,000, and then resell that vehicle, okay? So it's pretty cheap to own out of pocket, and then you save a lot of money on gas. So the thing you need to understand as a driver is this business is an arms race, okay? You can never, ever, ever settle. There's always somebody who's bigger and badder than you. There's always somebody who's offering water or soda or candy or a nicer car. So you have to stand out in a crowd if you want to impress people, and if you want tips, you need to impress people. So to get them to put a little bit of extra money in your pocket, a little bit of extra cash, you're gonna need to be better than the average driver. Furthermore, I can't speak for the whole country, but here in Seattle, Priuses are looked down on, okay? They have a bad reputation because not only Uber and Lyft drivers have them, but all the taxi cab companies in Seattle operate with Priuses. They're just everywhere. They're like ants, and people hate them because taxi cabbers will drive crazy and cut you off, and no one wants to get in a Prius here. That's not exciting, it's boring, and they are not fun to drive. So I'm gonna give you 5 alternatives to a Prius that you can still turn a profit on. So my number 5 car is the Hyundai Elantra, also known as the Uberman car. He's the one that made that famous. Above that is the Chevy Bolt. That is an all-electric car. It's fantastic. Then you have the Hyundai Ionic. Above that, you have the Mercedes E-Class diesel, and then the best car for rideshare up here is going to be the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid plug-in. So let's get into the details of why. So before I go any further, I want to give you my runner-up, or maybe a good option for some of those who don't have a lot of gold in your pocket, right? You don't have a lot of paper and you just need to get something so you can get to school, you can get to from A to B, you can take a lady out on a date, take a guy out on a date, whatever it is that you need to do. And that's the Kia Soul. I see a ton of Kia Souls out there, and I think that the Kia Soul is one of the least fun cars to drive. Like, it feels like you're in a tin can. They're super, like, really just vibrating and unresponsive when you drive them. Like, I hate the Kia Soul. But you can buy a brand new Kia Soul out the door with all the options, like everything that Kia has to offer for 17 grand. So a lot of rideshare drivers really like the Kia Soul. You'll see a lot of rideshare drivers with them out there because you can get them brand new. You can get a warranty on them for up to 200,000 miles, which is about 4 years of driving. And you can customize it to how you like it specifically. Now, I don't like the Kia Soul. I don't recommend it, but I mean, for 17 grand brand new with a 4-year warranty basically, I can understand why people drive those. So I'm just gonna throw that out there, even though I didn't make my top 5. And here's the thing, no one is gonna be excited to get into Kia Soul with you. And what's gonna happen is if you have a Kia Soul, people will start canceling on you. So number 5, the Hyundai Elantra, or as most people know it as, the Uberman car. Now, Uberman is another YouTuber. I'm sure you guys have seen his videos. He swears by the Hyundai Elantra, okay? He even gets to drive it on Select, which, here's the thing, let me tell you a little secret. You're not gonna be able to drive it on Select because you aren't a YouTuber who has 40,000 subscribers, and so don't worry about it. He's like a celebrity, especially in Oklahoma City. So Uber will let him get on Select even though he has a crappy car. That being said, I've driven a Hyundai Elantra and they're fun to drive, okay? They look pretty good. I mean, it's not an ugly car. Hyundai has a great warranty program, just like Kia, so you're gonna get around 150, I think, is the warranty on there. So it's around 3 years of driving if you get it brand new. Out the door, you're gonna spend between 17 and 25 depending on what kind of Elantra you get. So again, that's really affordable for a car. You can get that on the cheap, and it's not gonna get you Prius MPG, but you are gonna get between 30 and 40 miles per gallon. So that's really good, man. I mean, that's cheap. That's better than most cars. And so it's a good rideshare car, and it's a really popular one because everyone wants to, be like Uberman. I mean, so they get Hyundai Elantras. Another benefit is Hyundai Elantras have been around for a long time too. So you can get a used Hyundai Elantra for like 5 to 10K, and then you'll have no car payment or anything like that if you've got that kind of money. And remember, as long as it's not 7 years old, you can get a used car. I always use the 3-year rule when looking at a car, okay? So whatever year it is right now I'm recording this in 2017, try to get a car from 2014, okay? So it's less depreciation in value. You'll get it cheaper than if it's new, and because you're just gonna drive into the ground anyway. Our number 4 car is the all-electric Chevy Bolt, and that's with a B. B is in Bravo. They already had the Chevy Volt, and that's a crap car. Don't buy that car. It's not fun to drive. I've driven a Volt. They're not fun. I also driven a Bolt, and they are fun. They're a little smaller, they're a little bit more compact, and honestly, they're a little ugly. But they get 240 miles on one charge. And I'm telling you right now, most of you out there watching this video are not gonna drive more than 240 miles on one Uber shift. you can do an entire Uber shift on one charge. So you plug it into your garage, your ass goes to sleep, your ass wakes up, you go in your Chevy Bolt and you drive it like a normal ass car, make your money and go home. That's amazing. Now realize, okay, that you are going to be buying an electric car, so you're going to be paying more than a gas-powered car. And because of that, the federal government will give you a $7,500 tax credit to buy an electric car. Whether that be a Tesla, whether that be a Nissan Leaf, whatever it is. So at the end of the year, you get $7,500 tax credit. So the Chevy Bolt's expensive. That's why it's not higher on this list. You're gonna pay $35 to $40K depending on where in the country you buy it. And you need to have the infrastructure around you to get the free charging. Otherwise, it's not gonna be worth it. Just remember, that's a lot of money out of your pocket, but at the end of the year, you are getting $7,000 back. So I mean, that brings it down to below 30, but they're still expensive. Electric cars are expensive now, just how it is. That being said, I mean, every time you drive, you're saving money compared to someone else with the car. So, the number 3. One of the most amazing cars in recent memory came out. It is the Hyundai Ionic, okay? This is a hybrid similar to a Prius, only it gets 60 plus miles to the gallon, okay? They say 65. I think they're lying, because that seems an impossible number. You're gonna get basically 30 to 40% more miles per gallon with the Ionic versus the Prius. And they look good. I think they based the model off of the Hyundai Elantra. It looks smooth, man. Hyundai did a really good job visually. And I went to the dealership and looked at one too. I didn't take a test drive because I was afraid that I was actually going to buy it. But I'm totally in love with the car. It has everything you could possibly want. They even have leather seat as an option if that's something you want. And the most amazing thing about all this is the cost is about the same as a regular size midsize. So you're looking at paying $20,000 to $25,000 new. A major downside to the Ioniq though is that it's only been around this year, so there's no really used ones. So you're gonna have to buy it new. You're gonna have to pony up to 25K, 20K or whatever and buy it. There's just no other option right now. So maybe you go with something cheaper for the next couple years and you buy a 2017 in like 2 or 3 years from now, if that's something that's still going on. Okay, and that brings us to number 2. Now for about 2 years now, this has been number 1 on my list, okay? But it got bumped down this year. The best car for the last 5 years to drive for Uber, Lyft, and rideshare, even if it's just delivery, is the Mercedes E-Class diesel, okay? So, before I go any further, just realize that in Europe, this is the Prius of Europe, okay? It's diesel. So you're gonna get 30, 40 miles plus, okay? And they've been around for a long time. So this is the preferred taxi in Europe because before the Prius came out, this got the best miles per gallon. But keep in mind, it's a Mercedes, okay? So it comes standard with premium sound. It comes standard with leather seats. It looks just like a Mercedes. So if you don't know anything about cars, you're not gonna know the difference between this and the highest end Mercedes, right? I mean, people who work in the car industry will, but 9 out of 10 customers aren't going to, and when you pull up in a Mercedes, they're gonna be really, really impressed. They're gonna get in, they're gonna be impressed with the sound. They're gonna get in, they're gonna be impressed with leather seats, okay? But you are gonna be saving money over your counterpart because this car gets 40 plus mpg. In fact, it is just barely less than the Priuses had a couple years ago, right? Because the Priuses used to only get like 45 miles per gallon. So it's right there with the Prius. Now, one major downside is it's hard to find these cars. Diesel is not popular in the United States. Not a lot of people use diesel. So Mercedes has very limited E-Class diesels available. But if they have them and you can get a 2014, you can get into that car for like under 25, okay? Now, if it's newer, you're gonna have to pay a little bit more than 25. But if you can get a 2013, 2012, I mean, you could get it for under 20 grand. So essentially for the same price as a Kia Soul, you could get a 5-year-old Mercedes E-Class diesel, get better gas mileage, and here's the sweet part. You get to use all the premium services. You can charge a higher premium for your Mercedes E-Class diesel. You can get on Select on Uber. You can get on Lyft Premium. You just get paid more than everybody else to take that same driver. One major problem with driving Uber Select is that there aren't a lot of customers who pay for Uber Select prices. So a lot of Uber Select drivers are frustrated because they're not busy. That's the other advantage to the Mercedes E-Class. It doesn't cost that much to buy, and you're getting 40 miles per gallon. So you can operate on regular UberX, on regular Lyft, and have the same profit margin as you would have if you had the Hyundai Elantra. So think about that. You can buy a new Hyundai Elantra, you can buy a new Kia Soul, but for the same price, or maybe a little bit more if you want some upgrades, you can buy a 4 or 5 year old Mercedes E-Class diesel. And now you're making more money than everybody else. I guarantee you're gonna have more 5 stars. I guarantee your rating's gonna go up. People are gonna be so happy to get in that car. They're gonna be impressed when you pull up. They're gonna be like, what? This guy's got a Mercedes, he's doing Uber? But you're a smart businessman, so you're gonna make money. It's genius, it's the best car. If you can find it, that's the thing, is there's not a lot of them. So it's kind of like finding a unicorn. You might have to go out of state to buy it and you have to drive it back, right? And just remember that once it's 7 years old, you have to get rid of it. So if you buy 4 years or 5 years old, then you're only gonna be able to drive for 2 or 3 years. Just keep that in mind. And now, the #1 car, the best car to do Uber, Lyft, or rideshare in. And yes, I'm talking about Amazon Prime. I'm talking about DoorDash. You can do it in this car and still make money. Okay, and the #1 car is gonna actually shock you guys. It's gonna surprise you. I'm telling you, you're not ready for the #1 car. The #1 car for rideshare is the Chrysler Pacifica hybrid plug-in. Now I know what you're thinking. Since when has Chrysler been #1 in anything other than just sadness? Like, I gotcha, I feel ya. Chrysler, you know, how are they still in business? They're the United Airlines of the car industry. I feel you, but hang there with me. So for those of you who don't know, Chrysler Pacifica is the name brand of a minivan. So I know what you're thinking, minivan, why the heck would I want a minivan to do Uber with? The reason that you think that is because most minivans get 12 to 20 miles per gallon, right? That's terrible. You're gonna lose money. You can't make money on a van. But on both Uber and Lyft, if you have more than 4 seatbelts, you can charge more to get more passengers. So this seat's 7. There's 7 seatbelts in there. So you can do what's known as Uber XL, right? And you get higher rates to get people in the car. However, because it's a hybrid plug-in, this minivan gets 88 miles per gallon. Let me say that again, because that doesn't make any damn sense. The Chrysler Pacifica 2017, this year, right now, plug-in hybrid, gets 88 miles per gallon on it. That is so unbelievable. I had to Google it several different times and check 2 different websites because I didn't believe it. But yeah, it's true. Now granted, it's a minivan, so it's gonna cost you money up front. And there's no used versions of the Chrysler Pacifica that came out this year. So it's gonna cost you between $45,000 and $50,000 because that's the standard price for most higher end minivans, and this is a plug-in hybrid, so you're paying a little bit extra on top of that too. But if your family needs a minivan, you got 2 or 3 kids and you're taking them to high school and to baseball games and you gotta haul around all their crap or whatever it is, and you need a minivan, maybe this is an investment that you're willing to make. Because you can still drive UberX, and at 88 miles per gallon, you can still make a really good profit margin driving UberX without losing money. You can drive Uber XL. So the way hybrid plugins work is you plug it in to a wall socket, just like an electric car, like a Tesla or my Volkswagen or the Chevy Bolt I just talked about. And it has a small battery in there, okay? And anytime the battery is charged, you get free miles because you're not using any gas when that battery is running. It's a small battery and it's a big car, so you get about 30 to 35 miles on one charge. Then once the battery runs out, it runs like a regular Prius or a regular Ionic like I talked about, or any hybrid, okay? So the engine switches over to gasoline, and then through braking and the engine running, it slowly charges the battery up, and then so it'll switch back and forth between the battery and the engine, making the gas you use be drastically reduced. So if you don't have any electricity and your battery is out 0, you're still gonna get 35 mpg, which guys, for a minivan, that's laughable. It sounds like I'm lying to you right now through the camera. If I told you that a minivan got 35 miles to the gallon, you would laugh at me and I would be laughed out the room. But it does. That's just the same as if you went out right now and bought any full-size car. So if you went out and got a Passat from Volkswagen, okay, or that size of car, you're looking at between 25 and 30 miles per gallon for a full-size car. This is a minivan and it gets 35 miles per gallon. 33, I think, technically. I think it's 33. I'll double check when I edit this video. So you can drive the Chrysler Pacifica on any platform and be profitable if you can afford to put the money down up front. So there you guys have it. There's your top 5 cars to Uber, rideshare, and Lyft. Deuces. Hey guys, I hope you liked that video. If you did, go ahead and hit like, thumbs up, and go ahead and leave a comment and subscribe. You hit this button here. There are also going to be 2 videos here and here if you'd like to watch some more. And don't forget to hit the little bell icon that you have on your YouTube so you can get updates when I leave them. Thanks guys, bye.